Ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about something powerful, something magnetic. We often hear about love, relationships, and how to keep a man interested. But today, let's flip the script. Let's talk about the undeniable truth. Men are extremely attracted to women who detach. There's a common misconception that detachment means you don't care, that you're cold, distant, or emotionally unavailable. But real detachment, the kind that creates genuine attraction and long-term respect, has nothing to do with being aloof or emotionally numb. It has everything to do with self-respect. Detachment is the ability to be fully present in a relationship without losing your identity. It means you can love someone deeply, enjoy their company, and share intimacy, but still remain grounded in your own sense of self-worth. You're not afraid to walk away if your boundaries are crossed. You're not desperate to be chosen because you've already chosen yourself. When a woman respects herself enough to detach from things that disturb her peace, whether it's inconsistent communication, emotional games, or lack of effort, she sends a powerful message, not just to the man, but to the universe. I will not shrink myself to be loved. I will not compromise my standards for the sake of someone else's comfort. This kind of energy is rare, it's unshakable, and it commands respect because it shows that she's not afraid to lose someone who isn't showing up for her, that she values herself enough to walk away rather than cling to something that doesn't feel right. That's not coldness, that's clarity. Men sense this. It creates an energetic shift. Instead of feeling pressure from a woman who needs constant reassurance or validation, they feel freedom and respect. They start to lean in. They want to earn her presence, not just assume it. Why? Because detachment draws a line between desire and dependency. And men are deeply attracted to women who desire connection but don't depend on it for their happiness. This level of emotional maturity not only builds attraction, it builds lasting value. Because anyone can give attention when they want something. But giving it from a place of strength, not need, that's powerful. That's magnetic. Confidence is one of the most attractive qualities a woman can possess. And it goes far beyond looks, status, or charm. It's not just about walking into a room and turning heads. It's about the energy you carry, the way you hold yourself, the way you speak, move, and most importantly, the way you think about yourself when no one's watching. When a woman is truly confident, she doesn't need to constantly prove her worth or fight for attention. She knows she brings value to the table, and that belief shines through in everything she does. Men, especially emotionally mature men, are deeply drawn to that kind of energy. Not because she's perfect, but because she's secure in her imperfections. She doesn't seek permission to be herself. She doesn't crumble at rejection. She understands that someone else's inability to see her worth says more about them than it does about her. A confident woman doesn't compete. She doesn't chase. She doesn't try to mold herself into someone else's ideal in order to be accepted. Instead, she stands rooted in who she is, and in doing so, she gives others permission to either step up or step out. This is what detachment is built on, confidence. Because when you're confident, you don't cling. You don't panic when someone pulls away. You don't lose sleep over mixed signals. Why? Because you know that anyone who truly values you won't keep you guessing. And if they do, you know how to walk away. Not out of anger, but out of self-love. Confidence is also about emotional security. It's being able to say, I like you, but I don't need you to validate me. That's rare, that's powerful, and it immediately sets you apart from anyone who's operating from insecurity, anxiety, or a fear of abandonment. Men are instinctively attracted to women who hold their own because it signals strength, independence, and emotional maturity. It creates balance. It tells a man that he's entering a partnership, not a rescue mission. And believe it or not, most men find that incredibly refreshing. Confidence doesn't shout, it doesn't demand, it doesn't force. It simply exists, steady, quiet, and undeniable. That's the kind of energy that captivates. the kind of presence that lingers in someone's mind long after the conversation is over. And when you pair that kind of confidence with healthy detachment, you become irresistible. Not because you're trying to be, but because you're simply at peace with who you are. There's something undeniably captivating about a woman who doesn't reveal everything all at once. She's present, engaged, and open, but she still holds something back, not in a manipulative way, but in a deeply empowered way. That's the essence of mystery. And mystery is one of the most powerful ingredients in attraction. In a world where oversharing is normalized and instant access is expected, a woman who maintains a sense of intrigue stands out. She doesn't lay her entire life, thoughts, and emotions on the table for someone she just met. She allows things to unfold naturally. She doesn't force connection, she allows it to be earned. She understands that true intimacy takes time, and that not everyone is entitled to her story, her past, or her emotional energy. This kind of woman knows the value of pacing, not just in conversation, but in vulnerability. She knows when to give and when to pull back. She doesn't let the excitement of attraction cloud her judgment. Instead, she watches, she listens, she observes, she lets the man show who he is, and she reveals herself in layers, with intention. And here's the thing, men are wired to be curious. They're drawn to challenge, depth, and things that aren't easily figured out. When a woman is a complete open book from the start, there's nothing left to explore. But when she allows herself to be known over time, when she brings depth, substance, and presence, but keeps her inner world sacred until trust is built, it ignites a deeper kind of interest. It creates a desire to pursue, not just to interact. Mystery is not about playing games. It's about not giving your energy away too easily. It's about having discernment, about knowing that your essence, your presence, and your time are valuable. That not everyone deserves front row access to your world. That creating emotional and energetic space actually enhances desire rather than diminishes it. When a woman is detached in this way, when she's calm, collected, and doesn't rush to define or control every aspect of the connection, she becomes unforgettable. Her restraint becomes alluring. Her presence becomes something a man wants more of, not because she's trying to be elusive, but because she's living in her truth. Because she doesn't need the spotlight, she is the spotlight. And that kind of mystery is magnetic. A woman who is detached doesn't just walk through life accepting whatever comes her way. She operates from a clear set of standards. And when it comes to relationships, those standards don't just protect her, they elevate the entire connection. High standards are not about being demanding, difficult, or hard to please. They are about having clarity, knowing what you will and won't tolerate, what you value, and what kind of energy you're willing to invest in. A woman with high standards doesn't lower the bar just because she feels lonely, infatuated, or intrigued by potential. She doesn't cling to what could be, she pays attention to what is. When a woman is detached, she doesn't get swept away by sweet words or empty gestures. She watches for consistency, emotional intelligence, and alignment between someone's actions and intentions. Her standards are not built on fantasy, they're rooted in self-worth. And this kind of presence forces the relationship to either rise to her level or fall away entirely. And here's what most people overlook. High standards don't just benefit her, they inspire better behavior in the other person. When a man senses that a woman will not tolerate disrespect, dishonesty, or low-effort behavior, he either elevates his game or exits the picture. And that's a good thing, because clarity repels what's not meant for you just as much as it attracts what is. In this way, a detached woman sets the tone without ever having to beg, lecture, or over-explain. Her boundaries speak for her. Her energy teaches people how to treat her. She doesn't need to constantly ask for effort. She expects it. She doesn't have to prove she's worthy of love. She simply embodies it. And this unshakable self-respect naturally filters out anyone who is not on her frequency. Men may not always say it out loud, but they notice, they feel it. A woman with high standards challenges them, not in a competitive way, but in a way that awakens something deeper. She becomes more than just another person to impress. She becomes someone worth growing for, showing up for, and staying consistent for. Because she's not easy to replace. Not just because of what she gives, but because of what she requires. That energy shifts the entire dynamic. It transforms the relationship from something casual or temporary into something meaningful and intentional. And it all starts with her ability to detach from anything that doesn't align. And her refusal to settle for anything less than mutual respect, effort, and depth. There is something incredibly attractive and undeniably powerful about a woman who is emotionally independent. She doesn't rely on anyone else to define her worth, soothe her insecurities, or complete her identity. She knows who she is. She owns her emotions, her journey, and her healing. That kind of inner strength doesn't just benefit her, it transforms the energy she brings into any relationship. Emotional independence means you are not placing the weight of your happiness on someone else's shoulders. You're not looking for a partner to fix you, save you, or make your life meaningful. You've already created meaning in your own life. Love becomes a beautiful addition, not a desperate necessity. When a woman is emotionally independent, she doesn't react from fear or attachment. She doesn't spiral at the first sign of distance. She doesn't jump to conclusions or cling to relationships out of anxiety or the fear of being alone. Instead, she steps back, breathes, reflects, and responds from a grounded place. That alone sets her apart in a world where so many people are caught in cycles of emotional volatility and codependency. A detached woman isn't unfeeling. She simply doesn't outsource her emotional well-being. She knows that no one else can truly make her happy, and because of that, she doesn't put unrealistic expectations on the people she loves. She creates space in the relationship. Space for freedom, growth, individuality. That space becomes the foundation for a healthier, more mature connection. Men notice this. They feel the difference. They're drawn to the woman who doesn't crumble under pressure, who can hold herself through the highs and lows, and who doesn't make them responsible for how she feels 24/7. That kind of woman is calming, she's refreshing, she brings peace, not chaos. And peace is a powerful force of attraction. Being emotionally independent also means that she's not afraid to be alone. She doesn't chase love to avoid herself. She's not terrified of silence, solitude, or time spent with her own thoughts. In fact, she embraces it. Because that's where her power is nurtured. That's where she builds her inner world. And when she steps into a relationship, she's not asking someone to fill a void. She's inviting them into an already whole, beautiful life. That wholeness is magnetic. It creates a foundation of mutual respect, and it allows a man to love her not out of obligation or emotional entanglement, but out of genuine connection. Because he knows she doesn't need him. She chooses him. And being chosen by a woman who doesn't need to be saved, fixed, or emotionally carried, that's a rare and powerful experience. In relationships, power doesn't belong to the person who controls, manipulates, or dominates. True power lies in emotional regulation, in the ability to stay centered, grounded, and calm regardless of what someone else does. And this is where detachment becomes a game changer. Because when a woman is truly detached, she shifts the entire dynamic, not by force but by presence. When a woman is attached in an unhealthy way, she reacts, she waits, she overthinks, she builds stories in her head, constantly scanning for signs of abandonment, pulling meaning out of silence, or chasing clarity from someone who won't give it. That creates a power imbalance, because suddenly her energy is no longer her own. It's dictated by someone else's actions or lack thereof. But when she's detached, she doesn't spin, she doesn't chase, She doesn't play emotional tug of war. She observes, she listens, and she responds with clarity. And that shift from emotional reactivity to quiet self-possession reclaims her power. She no longer needs the other person to behave a certain way in order for her to feel secure. Her stability comes from within. This changes everything. The dynamic is no longer, what do I need to do to keep him? It becomes, is this aligned with who I am, what I want, and how I deserve to be treated? That subtle shift repositions her, not as someone waiting to be chosen, but as someone who's doing the choosing. That's the essence of true feminine power. Not controlling people, but mastering your response to them. Men pick up on this energy immediately, whether consciously or not. They feel when a woman is not seeking their validation, approval, or attention to feel whole. And that's incredibly attractive, because it flips the script. It places the man in a position where he wants to earn her time, her trust, and her attention, rather than just expect it. The connection is no longer fueled by neediness or obligation, but by mutual desire. This power dynamic isn't about playing hard to get. It's about being hard to forget. Because a detached woman doesn't just leave an impression, she leaves a mark. She becomes the woman who respected herself so deeply that she never tried to force a connection, chase love, or beg to be seen. She allowed space for someone to meet her, but she never begged them to arrive. And that energy, that quiet confidence, that knowing that she will be okay with or without him, that's what shifts the dynamic. That's what keeps her unforgettable. Because people don't remember the ones who clung tightly, they remember the ones who knew when to let go. So here's the truth. Men are extremely attracted to women who detach, not because they're distant, but because they are deeply rooted in themselves. A detached woman isn't waiting to be chosen. She's not desperate for love, attention, or approval. She's already chosen herself. She values her peace, honors her boundaries, and carries herself with a kind of quiet confidence that makes people pause, wonder, and lean in. She doesn't chase love, she attracts it. She doesn't beg for loyalty, she expects it. She doesn't settle, she selects. Because at the end of the day, the most magnetic energy in the world is a woman who knows her worth and refuses to trade it for anything less than what she truly deserves. So to every woman listening, detach from what drains you. Detach from what confuses you. Detach from anything that makes you question your value. And watch how everything that's meant for you rises to meet you. Effortlessly, powerfully, and on your terms.